Welcome to Talk Twenties, the show where guest experts and celebrities talk about life through a 20-something lens. My name is Gaby and I'm the host, and today I'm joined by Lucy Illustration. Welcome, Lucy, to the podcast.
Hello.
It says it in the name, really, Lucy Illustration. What you do, you've been doing it for so long on social media, and people will have 100% seen your work. They will have absolutely seen your work.
Oh, it makes I don't even think about. Yeah, I forget that people see what I do, so it kind of blows my mind.
Do you feel like it's just like you in your little tiny world, and then all these other people are seeing obviously all the amazing work that you're doing, but like, does it feel real?
No, I'm genuinely waiting every single day for someone to be like, "This is a big prank." Like, psych. I find it wild. I literally have. I feel like I'm living my dream, and I can't believe. Even the fact that I'm sat here, I'm like, they're really joking. They're taking pity on me.
Oh no, you actually. Let's chat about how we met, because I think you must have emailed me very randomly, like a year ago, I think it was, to connect, and you were like,
"I love what you do."
Yeah, it was such a sweet message, and I was like, we were in the midst of planning 20s Fest, and it was really crazy, and I was like, I love what you do. I was like, you're amazing. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, but we're crazy busy with stuff going on at the moment, but let's definitely connect. Now, let's definitely connect ended up taking, just for our diary reasons, a very long time. But a few months ago, we got to meet for coffee and we caught up. And I was like, wow. I was like, we have so much in common. Like, we just got on like straight away.
I wanted to be your friend.
We were chatting for hours. That was a few months ago. And then we were like, a very exciting thing is happening, which we're going to talk about today in the episode. So of course we had to get you into the studio. Do you want to share your very exciting thing?
I've done a book. I get so shy talking about it. But yeah, my book is coming out November 14th, but available to pre-order now.
And pre-orders are really, really important. So we're going to dive into more about the book in this episode, but we always start the podcast or the show with the same question that we ask all of our guests, and that's if you can show us a picture from this time last year and tell us exactly what you were doing this time last year. What was going on for you?
This time last year, I was actually in, oh my God, it's such a funny photo. This is literally, what's the date today? Okay, this is the 28th of September.
Okay.
Ramen. That's in Copenhagen. I had a bit of a breakdown, and I was like, right, I'm going to Copenhagen. So,
as you do.
Yeah. Took myself, well, like with you, I reached out to you and I was like, I love what you do. I want to basically work with you. And that's what I did with this hotel out in Copenhagen.
Oh, wow.
Found them, and they're basically, I don't know if I'm going to start talking about them. I'll be really passionate about it. But they're like a co-working hotel place.
Nice.
Where people can go and stay, and like, it's nicer than staying in a hotel because you can cook for yourself. Anywho, I love like their whole ethos, and it's family away from home. And they really like initiate that as soon as you arrive, and you feel so welcome. So loved what they did, reached out to them, and then I went and stayed. I stayed for a month in September and then did a month in February of this year, and did some art for them. And
yeah. What was it like living in, obviously, you're basically living out there if you're going for a month, really?
Genuinely, if you get the chance to go, I think everyone needs to go to Copenhagen. I absolutely adore it. The people are lovely. It's stunning. Like, everyone's very, it's not like London. I don't know. People are very considerate, and like there's not the kind of rush of having to be somewhere, and I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Just it's slower, and I love their kind of values out there. So they like finish work at 3 to go home and be with that might be the wrong time. Maybe it's 4, but like they finish early to go and be with their families and go like have dinners with them. And I just think
sounds like they've got their priorities right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, loved Copenhagen so much.
Did you go on your own?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow. How was that?
Good. I'd never done anything like this as well before, but I just I was at the time I was in a relationship, and he was supportive of me like going off and doing my own thing, but like I knew I wanted to do it on my own. I felt like it's something I had to do to grow as a person. And I'm actually, well, now I would say I'm not I'm a lot more confident, but I was very shy. Like when I was younger, I'd get my best friend to ask for like my bus ticket on the bus because I didn't want to talk to the conductor. So yeah, I was like, Lucy, you have to travel and kind of like rip the Band-Aid off, do it on your own. I mean, I'm 27 as well. Like, it's about time I did so. I traveled by myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, and now I honestly think that made me grow like tenfold. Just being on my own, having to figure it out. And like, you get in sticky situations sometimes, but you get yourself back out, and it's, yeah, I think it makes you so, like, it's almost the stuff that goes wrong that makes you more confident. Because you're like, okay, even though that happened, I'm
still okay.
Like, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Honestly, if I'm still alive at the end of the day, it's a good day.
Yeah.
We've really done well today. So yeah.
Well, let's go back to the very beginning then, and let's talk about why you started your Lucy Clare illustration page. What was your like inspiration to get started?
Honestly, to get started, actually, I think it's like all a bit foggy actually why I started and how, not even why, but I started, I think my sister was like, Lucy, I didn't want to, I was burnt out after uni. Like I went hard and like I don't think I drew for, I want to say like 6 months or something, which for me, I've drawn, since I started my account, I've drawn pretty much every single day since. So I was so burnt out. And then I was like, do you know what? I'm taking a year. I was also very unwell. So my family were like, take a year off. You don't need to get a job. Just like get a part-time job, earn enough to survive. And then you can go into your career like full force and do what I do, which is like, I do tend to go hard at everything and put in my everything. But yeah, so my sister said you could do drawings of people's houses and like personalized illustrations and share it on Instagram, and like that can be almost your little portfolio. So if you're out, you can be like, oh, this is what I do. If you want a drawing, I can do it for you. And it started from that. And then very early on, I met some amazing influencers and creators who are so supportive and just gave me so much confidence and shared my work. And sharing is how I've grown. It's just through word of mouth and sharing on people's stories and stuff. So I feel I was lucky to meet such amazing people very early on, and kind of it gave me faith in humanity, I think, as well, because I was like, actually, I don't know. I feel like, especially in your early 20s, I don't know, the world hits you like a ton of bricks. And you're like, whoa, not everyone's lovely. Like, yeah. And I think it can hit you hard, but then you realize actually there's a lot more good people in the world. And yeah, they restored my faith in humanity. And yeah.
So you mentioned that your early 20s were really hard. Why do you think that they were
so
hard for you?
For me in particular, I had these health struggles. So I've got type 1 diabetes, and I didn't look after myself for a long period of time. So if you have diabetes, look after yourself. But it meant I lost my sight. So I was clinically blind, finishing off my degree, which is crazy because if you look at it, you wouldn't think, I looked at it for the first time the other day and I was like, hang on, this is all right. But yeah, I was clinically blind. And when I started the Instagram account, I couldn't see.
You couldn't see? How could you draw if you couldn't see?
I know, it's so weird because even when they say like it's blind is such a, people think I mean like, it was dark. Like it's not dark. Yeah. It was just like I wouldn't be able to recognize you as sat here, or like just before my operation, I couldn't actually cross the road because I couldn't. I remember thinking if someone's not with me, I could easily just be taken out because I couldn't see the cars coming, and like I couldn't read, which actually I found harder than not being able to draw so I couldn't see pencil on paper. God, I'm getting all muddled up, but yeah, couldn't see pencil on paper. So that's how I started using like an iPad, because it meant you could zoom in and like I would just zoom as far as possible, and that's how I drew. So that's how I discovered that kind of avenue of my work. But yeah, and I couldn't read, which I found harder to process than not being able to draw, because I just remember thinking like I'll never be able to escape in a book again, or I don't know, reading is like a real gift. Yeah, that was a tough thing. So God, I've gone on a ramble. What were we even talking about?
No, it's not a ramble at all. I think, like, so obviously your sight deteriorated.
Yeah.
How and for how long was that the case? And has it come back? Like, is it something you still struggle with now?
So it started again. I was I guess in denial. I don't want to say denial. I'm a perfectionist, I guess you'd say. I don't like, and I also don't like letting people down. I'm a people pleaser. I'm like the definition of one. So for me, going to the doctors and them saying like you're not well was them saying you're not doing good enough. So I avoided going to the doctors for such a long time that it deteriorated. I couldn't even tell you how long. It happened very gradually. And then suddenly I was like, hang on a second, I can't sign my letters at uni. Like my friends would do them for me. And it sounds ridiculous too, because it's like, why did I not go to the doctors? Like that's quite concerning if you can't sign your forms and stuff. But yeah, in pure denial. And also I think there was that part of when you're younger, you think you're invincible. And I am just lucky. I'm a very lucky person that I am still here, because there were a lot of times where I shouldn't have kind of like come out the other side.
Had you struggled with your health prior to that, like with your diabetes? Were there moments like when you were growing up that were difficult with your health?
Yeah, I think hitting your mid-teens with diabetes is like, it's just like a bit of a head mash, because not only are you battling with like what's going on in the world, growing up, figuring out your place in the world, you're also trying to keep yourself alive every day, keep yourself stable. And like diabetes is affected by everything. So stress, excitement, and I'm like a very emotive person. I feel like my emotions like this. So it makes my levels go wild too. So it just, that's where it started, was like mid-teens going downhill. There was a lot going on in my family too, which again, it was my way of coping with what was going on. And one of my favorite things kind of to say to myself now is I did what I needed to do to survive. And sometimes it's not the best for you, but that's what I did to cope. And it's what kind of helped me through that situation. So a huge learning curve, I think, is forgiving yourself for the silly things you've done. And that's what
when you say silly things, like what are you referring to?
Just like not looking after yourself. But like even, when like you drink too much when you're younger, or you make silly, I don't know, maybe you're bad in relationships. And like you can't live your life in the past because there's nothing you can do about it. And just kind of like keep moving forward is what I try to do.
So you had this health scare during university.
Yeah.
And then you graduated and it was still a challenge for you.
Yeah. So graduated, and that's when I think something switched in my brain and I was like, hang on a second, I am not invincible. Like if I keep going down this path, it's not going to be a good one. So started getting my health back on track. And went to the doctors and they were like, yeah, there's something up here. And I had, actually, I'm not actually too sure what I did have, but I had an operation to essentially like clear the lens. And they put a new one in, I think. So that I think happened in the first one, I think was in the July. So if I graduated, I would have graduated in May, I think. And then that happened in the July. And then the second one was in the October. So by October, I could see again. And I actually, my sister had just had a baby. And I remember seeing my nephew for the first time and just being like, what?
Wow.
Like, I had no idea. Even like seeing my grandparents age, I didn't realize how much they'd aged until it was really, really weird. And like my parents, it was really weird. It was like seeing everything for even actually, I've never shared this before. So my partner at the time, like I'd never seen him properly. That is so funny to say. But yeah, it was so wild.
So it had been, how long had you been with your partner?
I'd been with him for nearly a year.
And you didn't really know what he looked like?
Like I
must have had a crack in personality.
Great guy. No, I just had never seen him. Yeah, never seen him properly. It was
And
so
so you
funny.
and you woke up and you were like, "Oh, you're not my type at all." No,
Imagine. Luckily, he's very handsome.
Yeah.
But yeah, funny.
Wow. Like that must have been a real struggle. But you started this account, and I think was it part of a uni project, and then you've worked it into this house account.
Yeah.
And then how did it go from that to like, is it 500,000 followers or something crazy like that right now? Where are we at now?
I think we're 520.
Wow.
I think. But
That's
which
crazy.
is wild. I find it hard to comprehend numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I did, I wouldn't share as much as I do. I'm just like way too open on that. But I've just got the most amazing community, and again, my community and like I don't even like saying followers because they just don't feel like my second family, but they're the most supportive people in the entire world and genuinely care about me, and yeah, they really are like my everything. I love it. Love it so much.
So how did it go
But how did it get there?
From pictures of houses? How did you start realizing that actually what people want were these little kind of mementos, these like kind of feel good drawings? Because that's what I would really say that you've niched down into. Like it's really feel good.
Yeah.
Like,
I think obviously I think the houses was like, this is how I can make money and this is how I can keep myself going for the year that I thought I was going to do it for. But my niche was like treasuring the little. I think that was like my little tagline. I was like treasuring the little moments. But I'm a huge I love treasuring memories and like photos, things like that, because again, going back to the health, because of how unwell I was, I don't have much memory from 16 to probably like 22. It's not, one of the like side effects is that you can't remember, which I didn't know until quite recently. And I was like, well, this makes a lot of sense. So now I just like want to treasure everything, and I love my favorite, and I still have bad memory. I don't know if I have bad memory or if it's because of what's happened. I've got very bad memory though, and if I have a diabetic episode, I then won't remember the day. So like being able to look back on my feed and see like what was going on in the world, and I love it so much. But I think that's why I started. It was just the moments that kind of filled my heart with joy. I just love.
In a way, it's a bit like a little diary. Because,
it is literally like my journal.
Because you're either what you're posting is a quote or a gorgeous illustration with a quote that I guess encompasses what you're feeling that particular day, or you'll do a post, and I'm sure we're going to talk about a few of them that have kind of really exploded for you, but you'll talk about maybe the Queen passing, or something's happened on a really famous. I've just seen you've done a Gavin and Stacey one, which is why that's springing to mind. But you know what I mean, all these little core moments, and you can look back and go, oh my god, like do you remember when Gavin and Stacey was coming back for a Christmas episode? Like that's so exciting. And then I guess looking back, it's like, well, where we were at that moment in time. This episode is brought to you by Invoice Home. We know a lot of you listeners are freelancers, small business owners, and side hustlers. So our newest sponsor of the Talk 20s podcast couldn't be more fitting. No matter your business type or industry, we all need to send invoices. And I've got to be honest with you, I had no idea how to do this when I first started out as a business owner. I wish I'd heard about Invoice Home back then, because it would have saved me a lot of time and stress. Invoice Home is a leading online invoicing platform designed to simplify billing and invoicing processes for small businesses, freelancers, and entrepreneurs. Creating and sending professional-looking invoices at home or on the go has never been easier, as you can access your account from any device via their website or app. They offer a free and unlimited plan to suit everyone's needs. Try it today and visit invoicehome.com to get started.
Yeah, it's even. And this, more than like self-love quotes and affirmations that I do, it is genuinely me talking, like either me being like, guys, this is what's going on in my life. You're not alone if you're feeling this way. Or it's for my early 20s self who like, I had a full-on breakdown after uni to the point where my dad had to like come around and pick me up off the floor because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Help. So yeah, a lot of it's talking to my younger self, and just anyone who's feeling like they're alone, that they really aren't. You just are never alone. And yeah, that's what, if I help one person, it sounds so cheesy, but like if I help one person a day, then that is kind of like, I think that's the best gift you can kind of get, if you know what I mean. So yeah.
How comfortable do you feel chatting about that early 20s thing? Because I did go through something very similar myself.
This is literally why I reached out to you though, was because I was like, I love what you're doing, because I wish I'd had your podcast when I was going through that, because I just thought I was the only person in the world who was like, didn't know what they were doing, didn't know where I didn't know where I fit in the world. I didn't know what value I added to the world. And I actually think as a society, we need to stop asking people what they're doing next, or like, I mean, obviously sometimes it's appropriate, but like, even just finishing the book, people have been like, so what are you doing next? I'm like, oh my God,
just launched a book.
I'm really trying to catch my breath.
Yeah.
It's kind of not, I think after uni, just people being like, so what are you doing now? Where are you? What are your plans for? And you're just thinking, hang on a second, I've just graduated. I don't know what I want to do. Like, I just need a moment to catch up and figure out who I am and what I want to do and give to the world. So
it's like people think that it's small talk, but it's not small talk, because it can
trigger you.
Yeah, it can trigger you.
So, and it was to the point where I didn't want to go to social gatherings, because I was like, I don't want someone to ask me what I'm doing next. I don't want them to kind of like probe into my life, basically. And like you say, it's such a flying comment. Is that what you say? But it's, it can really knock you for six. And and it also comparing yourself to others. I think that you do a lot of that in your, especially I know I did. I was seeing everyone getting their jobs and sharing on Instagram and being like, this is what I'm doing now, or I'm moving, I've just bought a house. And I was thinking like, I can barely afford like a meal deal. How are you doing this? Yeah. And it's just,
so true.
It was just, it was a low point. And that's where, again, the account started, because I was like, I'm just going to start sharing my feelings on here, because I wasn't very good at talking either to my family. I would say we don't really talk about mental health or anything. We've got a lot better, but at that time it was like almost like a taboo subject. We brushed it under the carpet, and that's what you did, which I think is like my parents' generation. That's what they did. So it's kind of, we learnt from them. But just, hearing people talk about also, I don't know. I find it crazy how many people were in their early 20s. We were all feeling the same.
And we didn't talk about
it. And literally
I remember specifically having a conversation with my parents where I had to explain to them, I was like, I was having these panic attacks constantly, but it took me a while to realize that they were panic attacks, because you don't really go, oh, that's a panic attack. Like, because like I didn't know.
Something just takes over you, doesn't it?
It just takes over, and you're like, oh, I can't breathe, and all this kind of stuff. And I remember sitting down with my parents, and I had this really weird thing, and I don't mind talking about it now, but it's just like whenever I went panicky, the only way I could calm down was by the only safest place I felt was by going to the toilet. Like, and so I had this obsession with like, okay, well, where's the nearest toilet? Or, oh no, I'm going to be trapped on a train and there's no toilet. Yeah. And that was my way of like feeling like, okay. And it was not healthy at all. And it was get stuck in this spiral and this spiral and this spiral. And I remember sitting down with my parents, and they'd asked, you know, when you're like, I don't know, like you're grown, but like I still had younger siblings. So they wanted to go on like a family holiday. And they said, oh, we're going to go to the south of France. Lovely, gorgeous. And they were like, we're going to drive all the way down through France. And I was like, I can't sit in a car. Like, I'll have a panic attack after panic attack after panic attack. So I made up this excuse that I couldn't. I had some plans that I couldn't go in the car with them, but I would fly there, because I thought, at least if you fly, you've only got to get through takeoff where you can't go to the toilet. This is genuinely how my brain was working. I can tell how like mentally unwell I was. You only got to get through takeoff. And then you can get up and you can go to the toilet and stuff. So I would fly there and I would meet them there, and they drove. And I made up an excuse. It wasn't the biggest excuse in the world. I did kind of have something on, but I could have pushed it back. Yeah. Like, you know, so I ended up flying there and getting there. And I was like, okay, I got through the drive thing, but I still had the problem of like I'm having panic attacks
Yeah.
every single day, and like I'm trying to hide it from my parents and I literally I woke up one morning and I just started bawling, and I was like, I have to sit you down and tell you that like I know this isn't healthy and I'm not functioning like a human being. Like this is so debilitating. I can't even think about what's going on. And I actually, being honest, I didn't really get better for a year. I then went threw myself into teacher training, which was my whole body was telling me not to do because I really didn't enjoy it and the whole thing. And I had like for the past, like it took me like, I would honestly say like it just dimmed by like 5% every single year until now. I don't have any of that. Like honestly, it's completely gone to like zero.
That's
and
crazy,
I think
isn't
COVID
it?
was a big thing that kind of made me feel a lot like more weirdly, a lot more relaxed. But like that period of time, and it's why I started this whole channel, and I've talked about it in the very early days of the podcast, but probably not for a really long time because I've got better. But it was a really difficult time in my life where a lot of it was just this whole pressure that I was building up for myself of you have to do X, Y, Z because
And
this
so
you
a
have to
lot of
know where
it's
you're
like-
going. It's so
A
much.
lot of it as well is, even though I think that for some people there is a lot of pressure from their parents and family, but for me, I was fully creating this all in my head. No one said like you have to excel in your first career. I mean, who the hell's first job after uni is like stellar? I know some people do, but going back to, a lot of people have to go back home, go back to their parents, work in a cafe, and that is so okay. And like, I don't know, even the fact that for so long, I don't know, even if you want to work in a cafe, you just have to do what makes you happy. And that is all that matters. As soon as you add pressure to it, it messes with your head.
Yeah.
It's not good. So yeah. It's crazy. And also just crazy how, like with you get to a point where you realize actually my anxiety is controlling my life. I'm like no longer in control of my life, which I think is often the tipping point when people are like, right, I need to.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I have to talk to someone.
and you
I have
have
to
like
say something.
I feel like you often do have a light bulb moment where you're like, you almost. I feel like when I had it with wanting to get better with my health, it was almost an out of body experience where I was just like, what the F have I been doing for the past 6 years? Like, I've got one body and I've been treating it, not good.
Well, you have obviously drawn so many different things in, is it 5 years that you've been doing it? 5 years?
Yeah.
What are some of your favorites that you've drawn?
My favorites. I find it really hard. I must admit, the self-love pieces, which isn't that so bad because there's so many, but like they've healed me in ways I didn't even, whilst I was doing them, I didn't realize they would heal me in those ways. Just realizing I'm not alone, and what I've been going through, a lot of people are going through, and a lot of people are going through on their own because they're too scared to. I think it's scary to say to your loved ones that you're struggling, or so just helping people realize they're not alone, that is one of my favorites. But also, it sounds a bit I don't know, I often draw people once they've passed, like, and helping people grieve, which I think with celebrities actually is often very hard because you feel a bit silly feeling so upset for someone you never actually knew, but you don't realize how, I don't know, the impact, you kind of don't realize the impact people have on your life, I guess. So the Matthew Perry piece, that's one of my, like, I think, you know, when you have a moment where you're like, okay, that's done good, not in a numbers way, but it's helped a lot of people process him passing. And obviously he had so many mental health struggles. So, and like, I think him coming out and talking about it and stuff helped so many people. And yeah, the talk over mental health has got so much better since, I would say, since like when I was in my early 20s. I still feel like it was still quite.
Yeah. No, I definitely think it come on leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
And your illustration took you to the Eras tour, right?
Oh my gosh. Highlight of my life. Honestly.
Tell us about that.
Oh my gosh. All we get in our inbox is, it was like, TSX Wembley. And I thought, I've manifested this. Like, guys, I remember saying to my friends, like, I'm going to the Era store. I don't get how, but I tried to get tickets, but I didn't get them.
Yeah.
Anyway, I truly believe I manifested it. And they reached out and asked if I would they'd see me on social media, which, by the way, if you want to start an account for anything, if you like cheese, start the account, because you don't know who will like find you.
Yeah.
And you'll get sent a box of cheese. It'll be great. But they found me through social media and then asked me to do 8 of her, was it 8? Yeah, 8 of her outfits from the tour, which, again, I wanted to be a fashion illustrator when I was younger, but I was told I wasn't good enough. So that.
And look at you now, drawing Taylor Swift.
I'm like, Paul, look. But yeah, so got to do that. And then it was the best thing in the world because I got to take my sister, which...
Where did the illustrations go? Who were they for? Were they
So
for
they
Taylor?
went, I'm literally convinced that she's seen them though. So I'm like, I've made it. But they went on Wembley's social media to say thank you to Taylor Swift.
Okay.
Which was so cool. So
That's
I was like,
really
thank
cool.
you, Wembley, for letting me do that.
Yeah, that is amazing. And then I was scrolling through Instagram the other day, and I'm just scrolling down, and I follow Cam. Now, if anyone went to the Era store, you'll know exactly who I'm talking about. Absolutely adore Cam,
him.
right? And I'm scrolling down, and it's Cam's post, and it's drawings that you've drawn. And I was like, why are my mate's drawings on Cam's page? So I like comment on it going, woo, go Lucy.
I had no idea,
And you hadn't even seen that he'd posted them. You were like, Gabs, your comment on it is for some reason you hadn't got the tag or it hadn't come up in your messages. And you were like, the only reason I saw it was because of you tagging. But honestly, like, he'd had all the different, you'd done pictures
you
of
need
him
to
with
get
Taylor.
him on the podcast.
We do.
Cam,
We
you
need
need
to
to
get
come on the
Cam. This is an
podcast.
open invite. We love you. We love you.
I love it. No, he is actually the nicest person in the world. I as well, once I saw it, I just like liked it and like commented quickly because I thought, oh my God, he's going to think that I don't care. Anyway, then I read the caption he put and I just thought,
It was a really sweet caption.
It was so kind,
Yeah.
just being so grateful for me doing the drawing. But I was like, you have brought so much joy to so many people.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I love drawing these moments because I don't know, there's so much joy in these like mini moments in life that are like the best. They're the special things that we remember. And yeah, he's a great person. And yeah, that was wild. So yeah, we sent them. So he again saw it through social media, and it's like my community just tagging. I actually often I get really bad imposter syndrome, so I'm like too scared to tag people in case they're like, who do you think you are? Anyway,
Are you joking?
but my community just kept commenting, and then he saw it.
Wow.
And then I said, I'll send them to you. And yeah, then they made it, which was so cool.
That's so cool.
So yeah, but yeah, he's a good guy.
And this is actually a very full circle moment for us in the studio, because today is the very last time we'll be recording in this studio space, because we are moving into our very own studio. Now, I've been doing this podcast for 4.5 years. And we've always like shared podcast space with other podcasts. And so whatever set we've always had to wheel in and wheel out. And it gets like, it's just so long. Like even that sofa, that's the bane of everyone's life, because it has to move all the time. And we've slowly like developed into obviously like growing our brand, and it's very exciting. But the reason that it's full circle is because where we record right now is with an amazing podcast company called the Anfield Wrap. They create podcasts about Liverpool Football Club. Obviously, we're based in Liverpool. And yeah, we've been working with the team, and we love them. They are absolutely amazing. But the reason it's full circle is because like a big thing happened. If you like football at all, you'll know that last year Jurgen Klopp sadly left Liverpool, and he was obviously such a huge character, and you were inundated with requests to draw him, because I can't think of anything more emotional than literally Klopp's last speech. And you tell the story.
Well, I'm not a big football. Like I have to say that I'm not a big football fan, or like I don't know much. But I had so many requests, and that's what I love doing. Is I draw for like you guys. That's what brings me joy. So did a drawing of him, and then it just exploded on Instagram and Facebook. It reached I think like you can go in and like look at the analytics and stuff, but I think it reached like millions, which is mind boggling. But it just shows the impact he's had on. I could not believe the comments as well. Like every single one saying how amazing this guy. I was just thinking, well, I want to be your friend.
Yeah.
Like,
I think everyone wants to be Clock's friend, let's be real.
You sound like a great guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just shows the impact like one person can have on the world. And I think that's what everyone, I don't know, I just think everyone can take the fact that you can make an impact on the world, no matter how big. I mean, he's obviously a huge impact, but yeah, the love people had for him is just insane.
I think that's a really nice way of obviously bringing the Anfield Rap, Talk 20s, and Lucy Clare illustration together. Like a really nice illustration of Jurgen Klopp. We love it. But yeah, that did exceptionally well for you. And you also sold loads of prints as well. Yeah. I'm sure all of this, the likes on social media transfers into your online shop. And that was a big seller for you as well.
Yeah. It just took, again, it's just like the power of the internet. And just people sharing it. And
I think what you're great at doing is encapsulating emotion into your drawings, though. Like you feel something when you see your drawings. And that leads us very nicely onto the gorgeous book, which I'm going to bring over here so we can chat through it. But you got asked to write a book, Lucy.
What in the Matrix is going on? I don't know. Like, seriously.
So the Book of Gifts, it's beautiful. And actually, when we met up a few months ago, this is naughty. And I actually saw this before it even went to print. I got to see some of your designs, which was so exciting. I was like, Lucy, this is going to be amazing. And now I've got it here in my hands. How does it feel to have a book of your illustrations?
Do you know what? It's weirder seeing you holding it, because I remember showing you the little like spiral bound.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'd met you for like 2 minutes. I was like, I've done a book.
Yeah,
I could tell I trusted you straight away. But no, it is really cool. I haven't looked for it properly because I have issues.
Issues?
No, not issues with it, like mentally. I just, like you don't want to look, and I'm scared. I'm very scared.
Why?
I don't know. I don't want to let anyone down. I don't know.
Lucy, it's an amazing book. I've seen all of your illustrations, and it's one of those books. You could read it cover to cover if you wanted an absolutely explosion of loveliness. Like you could read it cover to cover. But the idea of this is to pick it up when you are perhaps wanting to get a quote on, you've got different themes in there. You've got love, friendship, grief, kindness, and self-love. And, there's different illustrations in every single page. And it's sometimes nice to just kind of read through when like you want to have a little bit of a pick me up.
Yeah, it's essentially, again, I've said it so many times, but I would love to give that to my 21-year-old self and be like, look, life is tough, but you will make it through. And that's, I hope, what the book can do. So you can buy it for yourself, give it to a loved one.
I think it's a gorgeous Christmas gift as well. Like, I think it's one of those really feel good things.
Yeah.
If you're an OG listener of the podcast, you'll know I haven't always had the easiest ride with my mental health in my 20s. Our newest paid partner, BetterHelp, which gives you access to online therapists, is something that's helped me immensely. With BetterHelp, you can have your therapy sessions as a phone call, a video chat, or even via messaging if you prefer that, whatever is the most comfortable version of therapy for you. To get started, you fill out a questionnaire to help assess your specific needs, and then you'll get matched with a therapist, in most cases within 48 hours or less. You'll then be able to schedule therapy sessions at a time that's convenient for you. Click the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/talk20s, and that link will also get you 10% off your first month too.
And I think it can be sometimes it is hard to talk about your emotions, even like when someone's going for a tough time, but you don't want to be the one to be like, we need to talk about this. I feel like giving that book can almost just be a nod to be like, I know you're going through it, but again, you can get through and I'm here for you. Or so yeah, that's what I hope it'll do. I just hope it'll help people.
Do you have a favourite illustration in here?
What? Oh, yeah, I do actually.
Go on, see if you can find it.
I think. I'm so funny. I literally struggle to look at it. I need to get back to therapy. Right.
It's mad that something that you've done that you're like, I can't look. You should be
proud.
I think
as well, I didn't realise how much of myself I put into my drawings until they were all in one place. And this almost feels like the light at the end of the dark. Like it was a very dark time for me. And this feels like the good that came out of it. Which, and I truly do believe that whatever you're going through will, well, it sounds so cheesy, but like you're on your own path. That's the thing. You're on your own path. Sometimes it goes like, woo, but you'll come out the other side and it's your journey and that's what makes you you. Here we go. This is one of them. One of them. Am I like showing? I love how I don't.
I actually flipped to that one just a second ago. How weird is that?
So it says, love is the greatest mark you can leave in our path.
Oh,
which
I love it. It's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
We like to chat about a few things towards the end of our podcast. The first one being failure and how we need to embrace it more when we're in our 20s and not be so scared.
Yeah.
I think a lot of you and I, the breakdowns we had in our early 20s was because we were scared to fail, like failure couldn't happen. And that's why I brought this question into the show, because I said, I want to know that other people are failing and they're still okay, you know, and it's all right, and it can be big and it can be embarrassing. And actually, it's not something we should be scared of, but something we should embrace.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah. Oh my God. With all that I am.
Do you have an example of something that you can share with us that
I mean, I have failed way too many times. Well, I don't even like to say that actually, because I just think if you failed, it means you've tried at something. And trying is like, yeah, a life without failure means a life without trying, which is actually very sad. Like, what, you'd just be a potato. So, but I guess something I would say I kind of feel like I failed myself for a while. And I think it happens. And I've said before, but like I fully forgive myself for what I went through and did to myself. But I failed at being true to myself, looking after myself and kind of putting myself first, which you really do have to do. I think being a people pleaser, I tend to put other people, and I will put my emotions on the back burner to make sure someone else feels comfortable. But if you don't look after yourself, you can't look after others. There's that famous saying, isn't there? So yeah, I definitely failed at looking after myself, but it was the biggest learning curve I could ever have. And genuinely, like, I wouldn't be here if I hadn't done that or failed in that way. But yeah. So I guess,
I think, you know, we're tough on ourselves, aren't we? Like, and it's important to know that people have been there, you know, experienced the failure, and then they're still going from it. So yeah, the other thing we like to talk about is that nobody's perfect. And even though you've just launched an incredibly successful book and you're doing so well on your social media, that I'm sure there are still things in your life that you feel are not perfect and you are trying to get better at. Would you mind sharing one of those things that you are perhaps trying to improve in your life right now?
Oh God, too many for words. A, going easy on myself, and B, would be being with people and being present in the moment. I think, and you'll get this, having your own business, there is always something to do. And I often find, I don't even realize it, but I can be having a conversation and something's ticking away in the back burner.
Yeah.
So it's just working on being present, and also like we're like living life right now. And I think sometimes you're on there's seems to be like a rush in life and a pressure that you realize you're missing out on like the best days of your life. So yeah, I'm trying to be more present and actually enjoy what like I've worked hard to build. And
read the book, Lucy.
Yeah. Oh my God, too
That's
many
what
people
you
say
need
that
to
to me.
Read the book.
Yeah.
Enjoy the present.
Yeah.
Because 80-year-old you will be like, why didn't I just read the
I
book
know,
when it
for
first came
God.
out? Do you know what I mean?
I wrote this down so long ago. Literally. But yeah.
Well, Lucy, thank you so much for coming on the show. It has been amazing to hear your story and how amazing, you know, it has been. I think you told me earlier that in 5 years, you've only not posted on your page a handful of times. Like, that's huge in terms of like consistency. Like, you've obviously clearly worked really hard, but you obviously clearly love what you do, because it seems easy for you to be posting every single day. So thank you for your dedication. Thank you for putting so many smiles on people's faces when it comes to these big moments or when we need little pick-me-ups. I think you're doing amazing. And I can't wait to see the success of the book because I know it'll be super successful. Remind us where people can get a copy of this book.
So it'll be sold in all good bookshops.
You always wanted to say that. She was ready for that question.
Pinch me moment every time.
And we always end the show by asking our guests what one piece of advice they would give to their 20-year-old self. Now, in that book, there's a lot of advice. There's a lot of little moments and quotes and things like that. But if you had one thing to live by, what would you want to say to 20-year-old Lucy?
Go easy on yourself, for God's sake, woman. Like, yeah, just go easy on yourself. Stop putting so much pressure on yourself, and what's meant for you will happen, and what's not will pass you by.
Amazing
yeah.
words. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh my gosh, thanks for having me.
We love you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yay.
Hey,
That was
amazing.
so fun.
Your story is so interesting.
Oh my gosh, I hope it
interesting.
made sense.